For exercise 6-16, what we're going to be accomplishing is a top view and a right projected section view of that top. So I'm just going to start this by drawing a circle. And I'm going to draw the circle with a diameter of 38. Now, the distance between those two circles is 90, so I'm going to copy this down 90. Now that I've got the location, I'm going to go ahead and draw the side projection lines, which represent the outside shape of the object. I'm going to draw the circles that represent the holes on the inside, with just one of them for right now. It's going to be a diameter of 25. On the outside of that diameter 25, there is a key seat. So I'm going to draw a line from here down 27, and the whole thing is 6 wide, so I'm just going to make this line 6 and then move it over to where it needs to be. I can then add the lines from here in, erase this line here, and then trim this out so that I now have the keyway. Now, in addition to the keyway, there is a hole drilled into this thing. It's a diameter of 5, and it is drilled directly into the middle of this keyway. So I'm going to draw a line from the midpoint here down, and I'm going to offset 2.5 to either side. And what that's going to do is establish the location for that hole that's going to be in there. Now, again, we weren't really working with any hidden lines on this particular assignment, but I'm going to go ahead and just change the color of these lines so that it's clear that they are a different type of line. And I'll go ahead and make those magenta. So the magenta lines are going to represent the hidden lines. Now I can mirror all of those features that I just created from one side to the other side, because it is identical on both sides. Lastly, I need to draw a circle which is lined up with this midpoint and this center point, which has a diameter of 30. So I now have all of the features necessary to draw this completed piece. What I want to work on next is the actual section view that's going to show how this thing is going to be cut. So I'm just going to start with a line, and I want the line to be basically directly at the top or directly at the bottom of this. So we're going to go from the quadrant here, and I'm just going to go straight over, and that line's not straight. So we'll go quadrant, straight out, and now I can begin working on the actual top view. The total height of this thing is 50, so I'm just going to come over here and draw a line 50 right over top of this one. This is going to come out as far as the bottom of this circle. Okay, and that circle has a diameter of 38, so it's going to come down 38. And I'm going to bring it back 50, and then back up to the top. Now I can go ahead and erase those construction lines, and I'm going to go ahead and put as much detail as I can into this actual piece before I go any further. I know that I have a line right here. There's going to be another line right here, and a line right here. Those lines all represent the insides of the circle and the inside of the keyway. Now halfway down this thing is where this hole rests. So I'm going to copy this hole from the quadrant here to the midpoint here. Now I got a little bit of work to do in here because these lines aren't going to be long enough, so I'm going to extend them all the way out, and since they are no longer hidden, I'm going to change them back to the color of white. That way I know that they are no longer hidden. Now that I've got this one complete, what I can do is mirror this whole thing around the midpoint of the part. And that's going to give me both the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to draw a line from midpoint to midpoint and offset that line half of the thickness, which is 5, to both sides. I can now trim this line in here and this line in here and erase this. I now need to project the hole and erase the 2 lines that I used to create that hole. Now when I go to the hatch command, I want to use the NC31 pattern, and this is going to be hatched in this area, this area, this area, and these areas. Once I have that complete, once again for this exercise, no dimensions required or anything like that. So here we have our top view with our projected right section view of that top. And again, make sure that you have the hatching. If you don't have these set as hidden lines, it's not that big of a deal. The main thing that I want you guys to understand is the core concepts of how this part was actually completed.